Okay, so let's go to... Oh, yes. Okay. This story is called The Demon, Part 1. After the funeral for my father, I returned to my mother's hotel room to hash over the event. They had been divorced for 20 years or so, but we had both made the trip. I had flown out from New York. She had driven an hour south. She was still in her morning clothes when I turned up. I had changed in the car because I had sweated throughout the entire ceremony. She was already brewing us some coffee in the room's coffee machine, and I chose not to say anything. I've read too many stories of hotel room coffee makers being used by meth addicts and other itinerants for me to ever use one, but I was here for my mother. I would drink whatever she made me. It was tasteful, she said, as she poured our coffees. Maybe better than he deserved, but you know all that. We won't go over that again. We had gone over it many times. Many years, in fact. All through high school and college and into my career. And my father had not been somebody to offer a rebuttal because he was never around. He was a man who turned up to life events looking embarrassed and left drunk or in self-pity or in a mixture of both. The photos they had used at the funeral were of a much earlier vintage, from his Wild Oats era, sure of himself. And yes, if he had shaved off his beard, he would have looked a bit like me right now. I had sort of blocked this out until today, and there had been rumblings around my brain since the call last week when we all heard the sudden news. Something had been switched on, and I felt it turning around in my skull, gathering size, like a blood clot. I wanted to give you these, she said, and dug an old airmail envelope out of her purse. It was thick with old photos, secured by a disintegrating green rubber band. I had forgotten I was holding on to these, she said. I don't even remember why, but maybe I suspected the day would come. The stack of photos were an assortment of Polaroids, of white-bordered glossy prints with dates on the side, of faded color prints from the cheap supermarket developers, moments in time recorded on the fly, of the small starter home I knew mostly as a fact and less as a memory, when I was a baby boy. And here I was looking confused on my mother's knee, and here was my father in his undershirt holding me up like a prize, and here my infant self on a blanket out in the backyard surrounded by toys I couldn't recall, old fashions, old work friends, a shot of a house party where my parents smile and joke and smoke cigarettes, myself standing up off to the side, not knowing where to hide. And then, something else. A photo of our kitchen, the kitchen counter. I'm down below. I'm in diapers and I'm reaching up, 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 trying to reach the counter. My father leans against the sink, laughing at something, maybe at me, or a shared joke. His face is blurred in motion. The windows behind the sink are black. It's evening. Dots of light from inside the house are reflected in the blackness, and I felt a sense of dread. There was nothing amiss in the photo, but something was there. My chest tightened. Don't you remember this? My mother asked. Her voice made me jump. I was back in her hotel room. No, I said, but I wasn't sure. The black coffee in my stomach turned and turned. You love sitting on the counter, she said. You always wanted to sit there. I thought you wanted to watch me cook, but you wanted to watch the door. I was terrified you would fall off, but you never did. No, I said, I don't remember any of that. You gave me such a fright that one night, she said, and now she was into it. I think this is what she'd been wanting to tell me. I looked at her and she was somewhere else. Memories were leaking out. It was 3 a.m, she said. Your father was away on a business trip. Well, we know what he was doing, really. Business trip, sure. I woke up because I knew something was wrong, and you weren't in the crib, and I heard you laughing somewhere in the house, down the hall. And I found you, don't you remember? Maybe you were too young, but the lights in the kitchen were on, and you were sitting on the kitchen counter. You had opened a tub of ice cream, and you were eating it with a spoon, and you were covered with it. You saw me, but you looked over the door, and you seemed so happy. You kept saying, Daddy, and home. And you had just started talking around that time. Now, I wanted to share in this memory, but I had nothing, not right then. And I thought your father had come home just then, but I was half awake. I called out to him, but there was nothing. And then I was terrified. Oh, Lord, I was terrified that somebody else was in the house. And stupid me, I carried you around the house, checking the doors, checking the windows, looking out the driveway. Nothing. And to this day, I have no idea how you got out of your crib. I have no idea how you opened the freezer across the room and got out the ice cream, and how you got onto the kitchen counter. You were so happy. And the moment passed, and my mother suddenly looked her age, and I felt mine. And I flinched again when she broke the silence. You really don't remember that? Back at my hotel room, which, by the way, was 3 times pricier than my mother's and did not have a coffee machine, I called my wife. I was early enough to wish my daughter good night, and I went over the exhausting day, enough to express the weight of it all, but not too much. And I didn't mention the photos. Maybe I shouldn't have looked at that photo again before sleep, but I did. I kept looking at the window. White dots of light, blue dots of light, and there in the corner, 2 dots of red. 2 dots, like 2 red eyes. And it all came back. I was looking up at the ceiling, from the crib, past the Duck Mobile that would turn with a music box lullaby. But that had stopped. The blue nightlight cast shadows of the bars of the crib up the wall, and the door to the bedroom glowed soft, and the door opened, and the shadow walked in. A black shape, a heavy thing, a man. It must have been a man. And I wasn't scared then, but I was scared now. And the red eyes looked at me as it leaned over the crib and lifted me up. And I was cradled in that blackness that was both solid and fuzzy like static, and we floated down the hall, floated into the kitchen, where the lights came on, and I was at the same height as the freezer, and the freezer door is opening, and then I'm on the counter, the shape with the red eyes, like spinning liquid marbles, cold and yet molten. It cannot get its hand around the spoon, but it gets my hand around the spoon, and I know how to feed myself. Rocky Road ice cream. Rocky Road. Daddy was home, but he was not home. And I cleared the bottles of booze from the hotel shelf. I am my father's son after all, and I fell into a deep, turmoiled sleep. The blackout curtains wouldn't close properly, so a bar of light bent sinister across the ceiling. I saw that when I woke up. It must have been 3 o'clock, and I could not move. The paralysis was back. The heaviness on my chest, the terror, and something I had shut out, something from high school, then college, was reassembling nearby, a shadow just around the corner of the bathroom door. Those nightly visits after all the study and stress, the shape. Now I know it was the same shape that used to rise up from the bottom of my bed, that used to grab my feet, then my shins, and roll up onto my body, onto my chest, the impossible doom of its weight, and those red eyes. Eyes that were gone once I could wake up. Further gone after graduation, and therapy, and medication. And not again, but again. Not then, but now. Now it had reappeared. And it moved in silence, shifting, fuzzy black static, its eyes larger now, shifting sideways over to the chair opposite the bed, and it sat down in the chair, its eyes just looking, gazing. And I looked back, and now, something else, a pause, a new directive. A demon, yes, a demon, had returned, and I heard what it said, in a voice far away, like my own, Sounds but not words. And then I heard the sounds of the morning chorus, and I felt the loosening of bonds. But the eyes would be the last to fade. But no closure. Instead, a preview of coming attractions. And it was, because that was months ago. The visitations come every few days. I continue to hide it from my wife, because what she doesn't know won't hurt her. But it has followed me home. I've brought it with me. And it always just sits nearby, watching, observing, until it fades. 2 little embers in the morning light. It is my demon, and with it, I have made peace.
Ted, I wasn't scared before, but I am now. What a brilliant story.
Thank you.
Where did that one come from?
Oh, I don't know.
Someplace in your mind. I was thinking as you started with the story, I wonder if we'll ever know what flavor ice cream it was. But Rocky Road.
There you go, Rocky Road.
Rocky Road. So there's going to be part 2 of that story. You get to find out a bit more about this character. Maybe the demon will come into its home. I'm not sure. We're just going to have to find out.
I guess you're going to have to find out.
Part 2 will be being read out by Ted Mills on the 26th of November. It's the last showcase at the Underworld Tavern of the open mic night, where you can go and see Ted and other storytellers perform.
Yes, last of the year.
Last of the year, so definitely go and head on down. Well, thank you so much, Ted, for joining us this morning for our Halloween special. It's been lovely to have you. You have one of the best storytelling voices in the whole world, and I think incredible what you're able to write, so keep it up.
I hope it is as spooky as we can get on this beautiful sunny morning.
I know. We needed some hail or something for the first time. Maybe we should have wished it for this morning. Well, all of you radioactive listeners out there, it's 9:45. We've just finished the morning special of our Halloween series. We're going to play a few more tracks that have that haunting element to them, and then we're going to head into the Amplifier show at 10 a.m. Here is a track. It's from Rockwell. It's called Somebody's Watching Me.